Picture a land that straddles Asia and Africa, where deserts give way to fertile valleys, and where the past never quite lets go of the present. This strip of earth, commonly known as Israel and Palestine, covers less area than some US states, yet it has shaped the spiritual imagination of billions. Here, prophetic visions, historical upheavals, and modern geopolitics coexist in ways that are both inspiring and heartbreaking. This journey isn't just about visiting monuments, it's about digging into the layers beneath them. We'll explore why hidden tunnels once saved rebels from Roman swords, how ancient graffiti in a sacred room silently connects pilgrims from different centuries, and why a mosaic discovered under an olive grove became a symbol of shared heritage in a place divided by walls. We'll also look at how archaeology is used to tell different stories about belonging, and why the natural landscapes of this region, its deserts, mountains, oases, and craters, are as much a part of its soul as its scriptures. Our goal is to walk through a timeline and a terrain where every stone and shrub has meaning. We're not here to settle arguments, but to understand what makes this land so fiercely loved and contested. So settle in, there's a lot to uncover. Jerusalem, the world's microcosm. Jerusalem is tiny by modern standards. You can walk from one end of its old city to the other in about half an hour. Yet people have been fighting over and praying for this place for more than 3,000 years. Why? Because Jerusalem is a symbol, an intersection of heaven and earth, and a repository of collective memory. History's treadmarks. The city has served as capital, holy seat, battlefield, and pilgrimage destination for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. King David chose it as his capital around 1000 BCE, cementing a central place in Jewish history. Almost a millennium later, Romans razed and rebuilt it. Crusaders and sultans traded control over it across centuries. Ottoman architecture overlays Byzantine arches, Roman roads run beneath modern asphalt, and ancient cisterns still collect winter rain. The city's destruction and reconstruction over the centuries serve as a tangible illustration of resilience and continuity. Daily life. Wander through the old city's marketplaces and you'll encounter spice merchants selling za'atar and cumin, Armenian artisans painting ceramics, ultra-Orthodox Jews hurrying to prayer, Muslim teenagers weaving through tourists on scooters, and pilgrims singing hymns in dozens of languages. Families live in houses with stone arches and courtyards that are hundreds of years old, while modern apartments with satellite dishes rise just outside the walls. The old city's four quarters, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Armenian, are administrative distinctions rather than sealed blocks. Residents and visitors flow through all of them daily, though tensions occasionally flare when one group perceives an infringement on its holy places. Archaeological layers. Below street level, excavations continue to reveal earlier versions of the city. In the City of David area, south of the current walls, archaeologists have uncovered fortified walls from the time of King Hezekiah, along with a tunnel carved through bedrock to bring water into the city during siege times. The Siloam Tunnel is now a tourist attraction, allowing adventurous visitors to wade through waist-high water and darkness, much as ancient inhabitants did. At the Western Wall Plaza, some visitors are unaware that below the main prayer area lies a network of tunnels. Guided tours take you through arches and passageways built by Herod the Great, where huge stone blocks line hidden hallways. These tunnels bring you closer to the Temple Mount's retaining wall and offer glimpses of how massive the Second Temple complex truly was before Roman legions toppled it. Yet these tours also highlight the tension between reverence and excavation. Archaeologists operate under strict guidelines to avoid political backlash, as anything related to the Temple Mount is extremely sensitive. Divine secrets and lost treasure. Legends persist that temple priests hid treasures in secret caves before the Babylonians destroyed the first temple. The Treatise of the Vessels describes staggering quantities of pearls, gold plates, and musical instruments sealed in cisterns or towers. Some versions of the text place these caches in Babylon. Others hint they're still somewhere in the Holy Land, perhaps beneath modern Jerusalem. Many scholars argue the list is allegorical, yet the idea continues to inspire both legitimate excavation projects and outlandish treasure hunts. The myth speaks to a larger longing to unearth something untouched by centuries of conflict, a pure relic connecting believers directly to biblical times. Contemporary politics. Modern conflicts often center around control and definition of sacred space. Israelis refer to the plateau housing the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque as the Temple Mount, site of their destroyed temples. Muslims call it Haram al-Sharif, or the Noble Sanctuary. The area is under the custodianship of the Islamic Waqf, but security is enforced by Israeli police. Archaeology here can be controversial. In 1999, the Waqf undertook construction to create an underground prayer hall. Israeli authorities accused it of destroying artifacts from Solomon's temple. The Waqf countered that Israeli excavations near the compound undermine the foundations of Islamic structures. These disputes underscore that in Jerusalem, archaeology often becomes proxy for larger political claims. Personal perspective. Talking to locals reveals more nuanced insights. An elderly Jewish man might describe his bar mitzvah at the Western Wall while lamenting the lost peace of the 1970s. A Christian shopkeeper in the Old City might tell you how his family has lived here for generations, but now worries about rising rents and dwindling Christian population. A Muslim woman might speak warmly of raising children within sight of the dome, while describing the anxiety she feels about visiting certain areas. Their stories remind us that Jerusalem is both global symbol and home. Standing on the Mount of Olives, the sun rising over Jerusalem's golden domes and stone towers, you witness not only a panoramic view, but also a cross-section of belief. The mountain has served as a Jewish cemetery for over 3,000 years. Rows of limestone graves, some plain and others ornate, face the Temple Mount. They hold rabbis, scholars, poets, and everyday people who desired to be at the forefront of resurrection. For Christians, the Mount is the place where Jesus taught his disciples and ascended to heaven. Churches dot its slopes, Russian onion domes, modern chapels, ancient caves, each marking a different biblical event. For Muslims, this is where the Day of Judgment will begin, with the righteous crossing a bridge stretched over the valley. It is a place of endings and beginnings all at once. Bethlehem. Beyond the Nativity story. Bethlehem has been a focal point for pilgrims since Helena, mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine, allegedly discovered the site of Jesus' birth in the 4th century. The basilica built over the cave was later rebuilt by Justinian, and has survived earthquakes, invasions, and neglect. The Church of the Nativity today is a patchwork of Byzantine mosaics, Crusader columns, and modern restorations. Beneath its altar lies a grotto, marked by a silver star, where tradition holds that Mary gave birth. Yet Bethlehem is also a real, working town. Its residents, mostly Palestinian Christians and Muslims, live under Israeli occupation. The wall cuts off parts of Bethlehem from Jerusalem, requiring residents to pass through a military checkpoint to reach hospitals, jobs, or family on the other side. Tourism is a major industry, but the economic benefits are uneven. Palestinian guides and shopkeepers often must navigate a landscape where Israeli authorities control access to major biblical sites. The Ark of the Covenant, Symbolism and Searches. The mystery of the Ark's fate has inspired countless theories. Ethiopian Christians believe it was taken to the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum, where a guardian reportedly watches over it day and night. Some archaeologists think it may have been hidden in one of the many underground rooms or caves that pockmark Jerusalem. Stories circulate about a secret chamber beneath the Temple Mount sealed with stone, accessible only to select priests. Others suspect the Ark was dismantled and melted down for its gold, while mainstream scholars emphasize that there is no evidence of the Ark's survival. The enduring fascination reveals how mythology fills gaps in historical record and provides a narrative thread that links past and present. Judean Desert and Monastic Traditions. The Judean Desert stretches from the hills east of Jerusalem down to the Dead Sea. It's a rugged landscape of wadis, dry riverbeds, steep cliffs, and stony plateaus. Monks sought solitude here from the 4th century onward, forming Laura communities where monks lived in separate caves but gathered for worship. Mar Saba became one of the largest and most influential monasteries in the Eastern Orthodox world. It produced important theological writings and still follows strict ascetic rules. Life here is simple: long hours of prayer, manual labor, and silence. The monks' commitment to separation from worldly distractions stands in stark contrast to the turmoil elsewhere. Ein Gedi. Further down the desert, near the Dead Sea, lies Ein Gedi, an oasis of waterfalls, palms, and wildlife. Its springs and streams support ibex, hyrax, birds, and lush vegetation. In ancient times, Ein Gedi was famed for its balsam plants used in perfumes and medicinal balms. Today, hikers climb to hidden pools, while archaeologists dig nearby caves that once sheltered refugees during the Bar Kokhba revolt, finding letters and belongings that reveal daily life under Roman oppression. Ein Gedi serves as a reminder that the desert is not entirely barren. It has pockets of life sustained by careful stewardship of scarce water. Desert wildlife. More stories of adaptation. Beyond the charismatic mammals and birds mentioned earlier, the Judean Desert harbors reptiles and insects that fascinate biologists. The fan-footed gecko, for instance, can scale smooth walls thanks to microscopic hair on its toes. Desert vipers bury themselves under sand, leaving only eyes exposed to ambush prey. Scorpions fluoresce under ultraviolet light, a trait scientists believe helps them detect moonlight or warn predators. These creatures underscore evolution's creativity in extreme conditions. Plant life tells stories too. The desert's acacia trees send roots deep to groundwater and close leaves during midday heat. In spring, when rare rains fall, the desert blooms with anemones, cyclamen, and irises, turning beige hillsides into colorful carpets for a brief period. In recent years, conservationists have battled to protect these fragile ecosystems from overgrazing, quarrying, and tourism. The Dead Sea. Health, economy, and environmental challenges. Minerals from the Dead Sea support industries that extract potash, bromine, and magnesium. Israeli and Jordanian factories pump water from evaporation ponds, leaving behind salt crystals. Cosmetic companies market Dead Sea mud as a cure for psoriasis and joint pain. Tourists pay to float in the briny water, smear themselves with mud, and soak up the sun. Hotels line the western shore, and day trippers lounge in encrusted chairs or stand reading newspapers while bobbing like corks. Yet the sea's shrinkage threatens these industries. Sinkholes have opened under roads and parking lots, forcing closures. The decline has also altered local climate and wildlife habitats. Environmental activists advocate for the Red Dead Conduit, a proposed canal or pipeline that would bring water from the Red Sea to stabilize the Dead Sea's level. Opponents worry about ecological consequences like mixing waters with different chemical compositions. The Dead Sea's fate depends on regional cooperation, which is complicated by political tensions between Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and Jordan. Qumran and the Dead Sea Scrolls, window into ancient belief. The Qumran site sits on a plateau above the Dead Sea. Archaeologists have uncovered communal dining halls, ritual baths, and workrooms. Many scholars believe a separatist Jewish sect lived there, possibly the Essenes. They rejected the temple's leadership and sought purity in the desert. They wrote and copied religious texts, storing them in jars inside nearby caves. The writings included books of the Hebrew Bible, sectarian rules, apocalyptic visions, and commentaries. The scrolls revolutionized understanding of Second Temple Judaism by revealing a diversity of beliefs and practices. Some scrolls depict a figure called the Teacher of Righteousness, who may have been the sect's leader, and whom some scholars have speculated was a contemporary of Jesus. The texts also demonstrate linguistic evolution from Biblical to Mishnaic Hebrew and Aramaic. Visitors to the Israel Museum in Jerusalem can see some scrolls displayed in the Shrine of the Book, a white domed building resembling the jars that held them. Masada, revisiting a legend. Recent archaeological findings at Masada support parts of Josephus's narrative. Charred timber, Roman ballista stones, and a siege ramp built by the 10th Legion. Excavations revealed storerooms still filled with grains, wine jars, and preserved dates, suggesting that the defenders planned for a long holdout. A hidden synagogue on the plateau is one of the oldest ever discovered. However, some historians question the mass suicide story. No mass graves have been found, and Josephus may have embellished events for dramatic effect. Modern Israeli identity politics have embraced Masada as a symbol. Army units once swore oaths there, declaring Masada shall not fall again. But many Israelis today acknowledge the complexities, viewing Masada as a lesson in the costs of extremism as well as bravery. Tourism at Masada thrives. Cable cars carry visitors up, while fit hikers ascend the snake path at dawn to watch sunrise paint the desert rose. Makhtesh Ramon is more than a geological wonder. It's also a protected nature reserve. It hosts species like the griffon vulture, Dorcas gazelle, and mountain gazelle. The crater is a dark sky reserve, drawing astrophotographers and amateur astronomers. The Visitor Center honors Ilan Ramon, Israel's first astronaut, who died in the 2003 Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. Exhibits connect the crater's geology to outer space exploration, bridging earth science and astrophysics. Local residents, including the Bedouin, have deep ties to the crater. They have herded goats and sheep in the surrounding hills for centuries. In recent decades, ecotourism has provided new income opportunities, but it also raises questions about preserving traditional lifestyles versus integrating into the tourism economy. Trails have been marked to prevent erosion, and rangers work to educate visitors about leave-no-trace principles. Makhtesh Ramon thus serves as a case study for balancing conservation, education, and economic development. Haifa, Tel Aviv, and cultural mosaic. While our journey focuses mainly on ancient and contested places, it's worth noting that Israel and Palestine are also home to vibrant modern cities beyond Jerusalem and Bethlehem. Haifa, a port city on Mount Carmel's slopes, is known for the Baha'i gardens cascading down the hill and for its mixed communities of Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Druze. The city is often cited as an example of coexistence. Small mosques stand near synagogues. Arabic and Hebrew ring out in markets. Universities and tech companies operate side by side. Such coexistence is not friction-free. Housing and employment inequalities persist, but Haifa's relative calm contrasts with other regions. Tel Aviv, founded in 1909, is Israel's financial and cultural hub. Its Bauhaus architecture has earned UNESCO World Heritage status. Cafes and nightclubs buzz along the Mediterranean. Street art covers alley walls. High-tech startups sprout among century-old buildings. Yet Tel Aviv doesn't exist in a bubble. Issues like housing affordability, migrant workers' rights, and political polarization play out here too. These cities remind us that the Israeli-Palestinian landscape isn't frozen in ancient drama. It's also a place of creativity, innovation, and daily life struggles that mirror those in other parts of the world. Archaeology and politics. Additional perspectives. City of David and Silwan. One of the most contentious sites today is the City of David Archaeological Park, in the neighborhood of Silwan, just outside the old city walls. The park showcases finds from Iron Age Israel, including possible remains of King David's palace. Critics argue that by emphasizing Jewish heritage and ignoring Arabic layers, the excavations serve a political agenda of legitimizing Jewish settlement in a predominantly Palestinian neighborhood. Residents of Silwan have faced house demolitions, evictions, and constant tourist traffic. Organizations like Emek Shaveh advocate for a more inclusive approach, calling for archaeology that honors all layers of the city's past and involves local communities in preservation and interpretation. Sebastia excavations. In 2024, Israel's Heritage Ministry announced plans to develop an archaeological park at Sebastia, the site of ancient Samaria, in the northern West Bank. The project caused controversy because it could detach the site from the adjacent Palestinian town that relies on it for tourism. Palestinian archaeologists and international bodies argue that such unilateral projects rewrite heritage narratives to serve political goals. Dealing with looting. The Israel Antiquities Authority runs programs encouraging citizens to report accidental finds, such as pottery shards or coins uncovered during construction. Meanwhile, in Palestinian territories, years of poverty and lack of governance have led to looting of sites. UNESCO has tried to support local museums and training for conservationists. The black market for antiquities remains a challenge. Ancient artifacts can fetch high prices, incentivizing illegal digging. Efforts to track and repatriate items continue, though cooperation between Israeli and Palestinian authorities is limited. Contemporary conflict and cultural loss. The conflict's human toll is well documented. Yet as bombs fall and rockets fly, cultural heritage suffers too. During Israel's 2023-2024 operations in Gaza, museums, libraries, and mosques were damaged or destroyed. In the West Bank, military raids and settler vandalism impacted historical sites. UNESCO recorded more than 100 cultural sites damaged in Gaza alone by 2025. Academics and curators around the world signed petitions calling for respect of cultural heritage, arguing that heritage belongs to humanity, not just to one side. The rescue operation to save Gaza's artifacts in 2025 highlighted both the fragility of cultural heritage during war and the commitment of local and international workers to safeguard it. On the flip side, Israeli museums enacted war protocols to move their most valuable antiquities into bomb-proof storage during rocket barrages. Institutions like the Israel Museum and the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem have contingency plans for evacuating artifacts. These protocols serve as stark reminders that museums, like people, can become wartime casualties. Closing reflections. The Holy Land is often reduced to headlines and slogans. Yet behind those sound bites lies a place of extraordinary complexity, where a Bronze Age fortress can sit beside a modern bakery, where street artists and archaeologists both leave marks on the same wall, and where everyday life continues amidst global controversy. It's a place where monks rise before dawn for prayers, while teenagers scroll social media, where a 6,000-year-old potsherd and a smartphone might occupy the same table. As we conclude this extended journey through Israel and Palestine, several themes emerge. First, the past never really stays buried here. Hidden hideouts, faint carvings, and ancient scrolls keep resurfacing, urging new generations to rethink history. Second, heritage is not neutral. It's contested, curated, and sometimes weaponized. Recognizing this can help us approach archaeological and historical narratives with both respect and skepticism. Third, natural landscapes. Deserts, oases, salt lakes, and craters play as much a role in shaping human experience as temples and palaces do. And finally, ordinary people. Farmers, shopkeepers, monks, artists, activists are stewards of this land's stories. Their voices matter as much as those of kings, prophets, generals, or politicians. If this exploration has enriched your understanding or sparked questions, I encourage you to share it and keep reading. Supporting thoughtful storytelling helps ensure that the Holy Land is portrayed in all its depth and nuance, not just as a stage for conflict, but as a place where history, faith, culture, and ecology intertwine. Only through deeper knowledge can we cultivate empathy and imagine a more peaceful future for a region that has seen too much strife.